Hey everyone, it's Mike. Hope you're having a great week. Just wanted to say thank you at the beginning again for all of your thoughtful comments and for continuing to watch the videos. These videos really, and the topics of these videos really are being dictated by suggestions that I'm receiving from all of you. And the suggestion that I have been getting over and over and over, week in and week out, is a more robust dialogue, a more robust conversation about mental health. And unless you haven't really been paying any attention and living under a rock, the weight of which I cannot begin to imagine, you've seen finally the increased level of attention paid to mental health concerns at work. I joke all the time that I got into the law because it was my understanding that there would be no math, and I have a fear of numbers. That said, there are some numbers that are pretty compelling with respect to the state of mental health in the US and in the workplaces. Approximately 30% of all US adults experience some form of a diagnosable mental health concern during any given year. The rate of suicidal ideation has increased in adults every year since 2011. Approximately 2/3 of all US adults believe they're experiencing some form of mental health concern during a year, and less than 20% of them actually seek help. If those numbers are not scary enough, here's the one that terrifies me. The average period of time between the onset of mental health symptoms among US adults and the receipt of treatment is 11 years. Sit with that number for a second. 11 years. Would you ever allow a physical manifestation of some kind of an illness to go on for 11 years? I certainly hope the answer to that question is no. And notwithstanding my limited math skills, that means for every person who seeks help in year one, there is someone else who waits 21 years to get assistance. We have to do better as leaders in making clear to our employees that we understand, that we appreciate these concerns are real. And it always takes me back to a comment, to a quote attributed to one of my favorite people who was ever on this planet, and that was Robin Williams, an actor, a comedian, a man who struggled with mental health concerns throughout the entirety of his life. And what he said was, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind, always. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind, always. And as leaders, intuitively, we understand that statement to be true. The problem is, most of us keep it buried in the back under all the crap, and we have trouble accessing that idea. Move it up front. Lead with that premise. And the question that I was getting from all of you is, okay, we listened to your episode 4 about getting in the hole. We listened to your episode 6 about listening with purpose. What else can we do? Are there tangible actions we can take to help our employees? And the answer, of course, is yes. What can we do? First, embrace notions of equity in mental health. What's equity? Equity is the understanding that people come to our workplaces having experienced different kinds of opportunities or not, having had different kinds of experiences or not. There are disparities that exist, and we can embrace notions of equity by providing opportunities, providing experiences to those who might not have had them in the past so that they then can become their best selves. What does that have to do with mental health? There are a lot of people who were brought up being told that mental health concerns weren't real, or that they were a weakness, or that they should just push them down. There's a person who's rolling around in a lot of workplaces who starts every other sentence with the phrase, "back in my day." What back in my day will tell you is mental health isn't real. I was able to pick myself up by my bootstraps. And please, you were born on third base and think you hit a triple, pal. More importantly, not everyone has bootstraps. Not everyone has access to resources or the understanding that mental health concerns are real. Make sure we let these employees know where those resources exist and how to obtain them. Second, develop a written mental health philosophy statement. Let employees know, encourage employees to come forward with concerns about mental health, or not if they're not comfortable doing that. Once again, let them know what resources we do provide and how to obtain those very resources that may make a meaningful difference in their life. 3, and this is not for all organizations, but consider mandating that all employees take a certain number of paid time off days during the course of a year, because we all recognize the truism that we need a break from time to time to unplug, to disconnect, and we have employees who are working every day of every year. It's not healthy for anyone's mental health. Consider mandating PTO to a certain extent for all employees. And finally, are we certain that our leaders understand how to recognize a request for Family Medical Leave Act or an accommodation under the Americans with Disabilities Act related to mental health concerns? Folks, I promise you, until and unless you provide education, until and unless you provide training to your leaders, they have no idea how to recognize a request for leave under the FMLA or an accommodation under the ADA. Let me share with you the way leave requests are not made, and in all likelihood, the way your leaders are expecting them to be made. My name is Michael Cohen. I've worked for your organization for 12 months. I have worked 1,250 hours in the preceding 12 months. Therefore, pursuant to the Family Medical Leave Act and all regulations promulgated thereunder, I hereby declare my entitlement to 12 weeks of job-protected, unpaid, benefit-continued leave. That is not how requests are made. How are FMLA requests related to mental health concerns made? When an employee comes to one of your supervisors, one of your leaders, and says, my child has been admitted to the mental health segment of a hospital, and I need to help in that child's care. Well, the employee did not say FML or A. The employee did not request an accommodation under the ADA. That was a request for leave pursuant to the Family Medical Leave Act. And until and unless our leaders are trained, are educated on how to recognize a request of this nature, they're going to continue to not provide the employee with the rights that they have. There are several steps. We listen better. We get in the hole. We embrace notions of equity. We establish a mental health philosophy document. We consider mandatory PTO, and we educate our leaders on how to recognize leave requests and accommodation requests. Above all else, please keep front of mind Robin Williams' words. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind, always. Once again, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for commenting and sharing. I look forward to seeing all of you soon.